Today we are graphing sine and cosine functions. So we're going to begin by graphing just the parent function, just basic y equals sine of x. So to help us graph it, we're going to make a t-chart. So we're going to plug in values for x and y. And I'm going to plug in things for x that I can easily evaluate. So things like 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and finally 2 pi. So that's how I created my t-chart with easy angles. Sine of 0 is 0. Sine of pi over 2 is 1. Sine of pi is 0. Sine of 3 pi over 2 is negative 1. And then sine of 2 pi is 0. So I'm going to go set up a coordinate grid. 2 pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. On my y-axis, here's positive 1, and here's negative 1. So sine of 0 is 0, so I start at the origin. Sine of pi over 2 is 1. Sine of pi is 0. Sine of 3 pi over 2 is negative 1. And sine of 2 pi is 0. Connect them. And I can go back this way. And follow the same pattern. So then up and then down. So I'm going to go down, and back up, and up, and back down. So the sine graph is like, it's a cycle and it repeats itself. So from 0 to 2 pi, that's supposed to be red. From 0 to 2 pi is called our period. The period is 2 pi. This is one period. And then this is also one period, which is 2 pi. The domain of this function is negative infinity, positive infinity. The range of this function is negative 1 to 1. And this is your basic sine graph. It has a period of 2 pi and its range is negative 1 to positive 1. All right, so for y equals cosine of x, let's make a t-chart. Whoa, what's happening? X, y. So again, I'm going to plug in those nice angles that I can easily plug into cosine in my head. Cosine of 0 is 1. Cosine of pi over 2 is 0. Cosine of pi is negative 1. Cosine of 3 pi over 2 is 0. And cosine of 2 pi is back to 1. I'm going to graph this. Again, 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, 2 pi, and then back the other way, negative pi over 2, negative pi, negative 3 pi over 2, negative 2 pi. 1, negative 1. At x is 0, y is 1. At pi over 2, 0, pi, y is negative 1, 3 pi over 2, here's 0, and then 2 pi, we're back up here. So if you notice, this makes like a smile. Oops, that was really bad. Okay, now with the pen, not the eraser. There it goes, so this is the max point. And then it repeats itself, and we go back to 0. Whoops, my graph is wiggity whack. So again, the period, with the wrong color, again, the period is 2 pi. What is with that bracket struggle? Y'all, I cannot click this pen today. Oh my word. It's supposed to be the pen, not the eraser. So again, the period is 2 pi. Okay, so y equals sine of x and y equals cosine x, those are like the basics, but we can make some transformations to these functions. So here's the form. Cosine. All right, y equals d plus a sine of bx minus c, and y equals d plus a cosine parentheses bx minus c. So a represents the amplitude, which amplitude is half the distance between the maximum and the minimum. The amplitude is half the distance between the maximum and the minimum. So if we go back to our cosine graph, our maximum is 1, our minimum is -1, so the distance between the max and the min is 2. Well, the amplitude is half the distance between the max and the min, so the amplitude of our cosine function is 1, which makes sense because this coefficient right here would be 1, and amplitude is the coefficient right in front of cosine, so that makes sense. Amplitude is half the distance between the max and the min. Okay, then you use b to help you find the period. So the period is going to be 2 pi over b. So you take this number that's stuck on your x and you divide 2 pi by it, and that's how you find the period. So if we go back to our parent function, b is 1. I only have a 1 in front of the x. So 2 pi divided by 1 is 2 pi. So that's beautiful. All right, d, so this number, that's going to be right here, added or subtracted to your function. D shifts our function up or down. And then C moves our function left or right. So shifts right or left. Whoa, oops. Right or left. So D shifts our function up or down. C shifts our function to the right or to the left. We use B to help us find the period by dividing 2 pi by B, and then A is our amplitude, half the distance from the min to the max. All right, here's a surprise for watching the video. This might come up as a bonus. Miss Briscoe's favorite movie. Is The Parent Trap, the Lindsay Lohan version. So you actually have to watch the video so you can hear my voice. My favorite movie is The Parent Trap, Lindsay Lohan version. It's the best. All right, let's do one where we're actually going to make some transformations to our sine function. Okay, y equals sine of x over 2. Alright, so first we want to identify a, b, c, and d. A is our amplitude, which is the coefficient stuck out here, which is just 1. So our amplitude is just 1. B is this number stuck on x. So this is the same thing as 1/2 x, so b is 1/2. And we're going to use that to help us find our period. Our period is 2 pi over b, so 2 pi over 1/2, which when you divide by a fraction, you flip it and multiply, so that becomes 4 pi. So our period is now 4 pi. So notice back on our parent function, our period was 2 pi, and we had to split 2 pi into 4 pieces, 4 congruent pieces. So 2 pi divided by 4 pieces. Our period is 2 pi. We split it into 4 pieces. So that means each piece is pi over 2. So this is 1 pi over 2, 2 pi over 2, 3 pi over 2, 4 pi over 2. So now that our period is 4 pi, when I split my period into 4 pieces, each piece will be pi. So now instead of doing pi over 2 pi, 3 pi over 2, 2 pi, my pieces are going to be pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, 4 pi. And follow the same pattern for sine. You start at 0, then you go up, go back down to -1, go back to 4, go back to 0, I'm sorry. And then this is one period, 4 pi. We just completed one period. Usually your directions on your test or your quiz are going to ask you to graph 2 periods. So I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to do 5 pi, then 6 pi, then 7 pi, and then 8 pi. And again, you repeat this cycle up to 1, back down to 0, down to -1, and then back to 0. This would just keep repeating itself over and over and over. So that's why I put arrows on the end. So we took our b, did 2 pi divided by b, that gave us our period, which is 4 pi, and then you have to split your period into 4 equal parts, so you just divide your period by 4. That was pretty easy still. Let's do a hard one.